All right. Well, welcome back to the Post Frame 360 podcast. I am one of your hosts, Scott Cragg, along with Josh Nowlin.
The better host. I mean, the second host. I mean, the number 2 host.
Wow. So we're going to come back from the holidays loud and proud. Yeah. Well, hey, guys, we hope you had a wonderful holiday with your families. Hope it was a good downtime for you. And yeah, take a little bit of a breather. You know, we're wrapping up the year here. So the last part, this last push feels really, really short, you know, because we got just about 3 weeks here and then we're into Christmas and then New Year's and then off we go. It's kind of hard to believe that we're at the end of 2025, man. It just seems like yesterday was January 1st of 2025. So what we're going to talk about today is 2 things. One, if you've had an opportunity to listen to the previous 2 podcasts, you were introduced to our friend Mark Eastman. So I hope you have listened to those and I hope you found his content valuable. And so we're going to tease a little bit of something that's coming up, and then we're going to talk about our Sturdi-Wall brackets and some just some really helpful information around that. So Josh, that's where we're going this morning.
Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to talk all things business. And, you know, you mentioned the break, and the breaks, although it's needed, it's always hard. It's hard on me, especially maybe it's just me. I don't know. But this time of year, it starts to, and I know I'm in South Texas, but it's colder here too, you know, and I just am I the only one? I just get lazy? Like since we traveled for the holidays, got snowed in Illinois. That's a whole nother story. I don't want to waste or spend 5 minutes talking about it, but man, I've gotten back and just I felt kind of exhausted, just tired, lazier. I haven't been doing my morning exercise this week, and I'm just, I don't know. I think today I'm going to turn the corner. I'm ready to get back into the swing of things.
At least for 3 weeks, right?
And then it'll be like starting all over again.
And then it all starts over again. Well, you know, it's the turkey. The turkey.
I'm ready to put 2025 behind me, though, man. It's been an interesting year, but you know, I could probably talk about good things that definitely came out of this year, but you know, I'm ready for 2026.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's a great way to start the podcast, Josh. You know, we had a meeting yesterday. You were part of that meeting, and yeah, 2025, man, it's lots of things that we've learned from it, but it's been a rough year. And, you know, there's some things that we just didn't accomplish. You know, we didn't hit many of our goals. And we've talked all year about why those things happened, weather and all that stuff, right? So we don't have to rehash it. We know that. We didn't hit some of our goals. And so it's like you're assessing as you get to the end of the year, that final push, right? Like, and I'm glad that we took the position we did where, you know what, sometimes you got to take, you just got to take it on the chin. We're not going to hit our goals, and to try to stress ourselves and everyone else out and to push and claw, the year's over. I mean, let's be honest. The year's over, and it wasn't a cooperative year. So what do we do moving into 2026? And so I think one of those things that we're offering to you, our listeners, is the fact that we did make the connection with Mark Eastman. You know, he's been doing, and again, please listen to the podcast if you haven't. He's been in construction for 40 years. He's got a tremendous amount of experience. And something I shared with you is he's not a Burroughs customer, right? Because Josh and I, and probably me beating the drum around business, and we shared this a little bit with you, is I work for Burroughs, right? It's easy for you to listen to us. Okay, oh yeah, Scott's got some great information about business, but Scott works for Burroughs. I don't fault you for thinking that some of the things that I might say is being slanted or filtered through Scott works for Burroughs, and anything he says has got to be to benefit Burroughs. Yes, I'm going to answer that. Yes, like my job is to help Burroughs accomplish his goals and be profitable. That's your job, is your goal to be profitable. So bringing someone who's independent like Mark to share his knowledge as a non-Burroughs customer, my hope is it lended credibility to what I've been communicating and what Josh has been communicating, that we care about your business, we care about our business. And so, Josh, am I making sense of what I'm saying there?
Yeah, 100%. You know, we started this podcast, you know, and it's Post Frame 360, but by Burroughs, right? And we started this for our customers. So, I think it's obvious that people, think, oh, what they say is could be slanted towards boroughs, but it is. I mean,
Mhm,
of course it is, but because we care about our customers,
mhm,
and we want the best for them, and that's why we're doing this, to not only share industry knowledge, um, and expertise, but just to help our clients understand what we have, our offerings, what we've got going on internally.
mhm,
And, hopefully they get a golden nugget or two out of each episode. And it keeps them coming back to listen, and, they feel and see the value in our podcast. And we're always open to changing things up a little bit, getting better at what we do. And
mhm, mhm.
hopefully we continue to get feedback to help
Yeah,
us grow.
yeah, awesome. So, with that in mind and thinking about 2026 and the year ahead, what we're gonna be doing is we're bringing Mark Eastman to Tulsa, Oklahoma, actually Broken Arrow, okay? So, since we did the last podcast, we've been having a lot of conversations behind the scenes, and so we've picked the venue, and we're gonna be meeting in Broken Arrow, and we are gonna be having I don't wanna call it a workshop. We're trying to come up with a different name because a workshop, I think, has the connotation that you're gonna be sitting behind a desk in a chair being lectured at. That is not what this is gonna be, right? Um, but Mark is gonna be coming to Broken Arrow. It's gonna be on Friday, January the 16th, okay? We picked a time of the year that it's probably gonna be cold, it's probably gonna be yucky and messy. We wanna invite you to come to that, okay? There is limited space, and I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to put the screws to you or pressure you by saying, "Oh, there's limited space," but here's the thing, it's limited space. The venue is this very small setting. Because this isn't a lecture, this is gonna be interactive. We want you to have the opportunity. Because here's the thing, you're a business owner, right? You're a business owner, learning how to run and grow your business. And so this is really gonna have more of a like a board meeting feel. Like you're a business owner. You don't need to be lectured at. We want to invite you into conversation with Mark. He's got some
Mhm.
amazing tools that he's put together out of 40 years of experience, reviewing contracts, scopes of work, balance or savings transfer sheet, things that I think a lot of builders maybe don't really, not that you don't know, but that just hasn't really been maybe a priority. And I think it needs to be. And Mark will share with you why he got to that point because a lot of things did go wrong in his construction company. So it's an
Mhm.
opportunity to learn from someone who's basically lived the contractor life of hard knocks and is willing to share what he's learned and to share it with you. And so we're excited about that partnership. So here's what's going to
Mhm.
happen. If you're watching us on YouTube, I'm going to put up right now at the bottom. I'm going to put up the date and the location of where this is going to be, and it is going to be first come, first serve. So once we hit our limit, we're going to cut it off. This is not a one and done. Okay. So please don't say, oh, well, if I can't do it this time, I'll do it next time. I don't know the next time we're going to do it, but I can only handle so many because I want the time to be something that's collaborative. And if we get a big group of people, it's hard to have those collaborative conversations. So January the 16th, that is a Friday. That way you can get all your week's work done. You can plan for it. We're going to start at 8 o'clock. We're going to provide your breakfast. We're going to take care of your lunch. And here's the thing, guys. It's going to be a $249 registration fee. Now you may go, oh, that's am I paying for this? Yes, you are. Okay. Because I'm booking the venue. I am taking care of Mark's time that he is spending with us. We're going to be providing your food, but this is not to profit off of you. Okay. If you pay your registration fee and you show up, all you gotta do is show up and learn.
Mhm.
You're gonna get that $249 back as a credit towards your next job, okay? So, we're not trying to make money off of you by bringing Mark here. We just need you to know that this is of high value, and we need you to pay to lock in your spot, and you show up. Once you show up, I'm gonna mark you off the list, and that $249 is going right back into your pocket on your next job. So, um, Josh, does that make
No,
sense?
it does. And I hope if you're listening, you're not thinking, man, that's crazy. We got to pay $250. It's really, to Scott's point, it's not a lot. Number one. Number two is I don't want somebody to sign up and take a seat and not show up. And
Yeah.
if we just had open signups, that's what would happen. We'd have 50 people sign up and 20 would show up.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
not interested in that. It's a waste of time. And
Right.
we want people that are serious about this, serious about their business, and serious about growing their business,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
That's who we want. If that's you, hey, this was meant to be a teaser. Okay. We don't have the sign up sheet link and all that yet for you,
Yep.
but we're going to put all that together in the coming week.
Hmm.
And maybe next week we could start off our podcast, talk a little bit about, um, you know, the sign up process and the link, and we'll email it out. We'll make sure, we'll probably make some personal phone calls to some of
100%.
you,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so those of you who are listening to the podcast, you're getting a teaser first, right? So no one else knows about this. We haven't talked about this yet. So one of the great things about being a subscriber to the podcast, right? Listening to it is you're going to hear stuff before other people do. So my email address is going to pop up. If you're watching us, you're going to see it on screen. I'm going to say it for those who may be able to just listen, but Scott C at Burrows, Burrows hyphen supply.com. Email me, say, Scott, I plan to be there. If you get your name in, I'm going to put you on the list. And then as we work out the registration information, we're there. So, I mean, I would love to fill this up in the next week because in my mind, it's that valuable
Hmm.
because I do want you to hear from someone else. And here's some things Mark may tell you some stuff that goes against some of the stuff that I've said. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm truly okay with that. I try to share with you everything that I know about business, but I don't know everything about business, right? Um, so this is good. And I hope you guys see the value in that. And I can guarantee you, you may think, man, it's pretty much a day out of being in the field. This is a day that's going to reap rewards for you. I assure you that you're going to walk away with some tools that are going to change the way that you do business if you choose to implement those tools.
And I'm going to put myself on the spot here and say you're also going to walk away with some post frame 360 swag if you're at that event.
Guys, the $249 is just like a post
I
frame
know it
360.
just became worth $500.
Yeah,
No.
and if we sign it, Josh, we should break out the
Oh,
Sharpies,
yeah. Or
you
the
know?
highlighters or whatever you have.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, Josh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't know
let's
about
do it.
that. So,
Well, I just made it up. So now I've got more work for myself. Oh
hope the
boy.
budget's there to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so
we'll work that out.
better to ask for forgiveness than permission. That's the way we roll here. So yeah,
Mm.
so guys, we'll be talking about this more, but we just wanted you to know, coming off of the past two podcasts with Mark, that we're bringing him here, and we see the value in that. So, all right. So Josh, unless you have anything else about Mark, let's transition to column brackets.
Sturdi-Wall brackets.
Sturdy. He said sturdy wall, not dirty
Sturdi-Wall.
wall. Not
Sturdy,
dirty.
dirty. Sturdi-Wall brackets.
Depends on how you build. If it's a dirty wall bracket.
Mm,
Um,
that's true.
Yeah, it is true, right? Okay, so sturdy wall brackets. So let's break this down into maybe three categories. Those who are like, "What the heck are you talking about?" So let's say you've never used sturdy wall brackets. We're gonna kind of recap real quick. So those of you who use them, this may be boring for the next 3 or 4 minutes. Those who use the sturdy wall brackets, but maybe what we're about to share with you, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And then some tips and tricks for the best application. Okay, so that's how we're going to break this down. So,
Hmm.
Josh, take it away if
Yeah,
you want. Just like
sure.
introduce a brand new user to the Sturdy Wall brackets.
Well, I'll start off and say, the Sturdi-Wall bracket it's engineered, manufactured by Permacolumn, which is a
Hmm.
sister company of ours. Most people in this industry, hopefully our listeners know what a permacolumn is. So first and foremost, they offer that, and we offer that at Burroughs. So a few years ago, we did a permacolumn demo
Hmm.
out in the yard, and I know some of our listeners were probably there for that. So I should mention that if that's something you're interested in knowing more about, of course, reach out, get a hold of us. We can podcast about that at a later date. But they also have the sturdy wall bracket application. So, if you're not putting posts in the ground or on a permacolumn, likely you are fastening it to a foundation system.
Hmm.
And then comes the sturdy wall bracket. So there are several different types of sturdy wall brackets. And, I think probably the most common Sturdi-Wall bracket that we use, that our clients use. Is either a bolt down 6x6 bracket
Mm-hmm.
or a 3-ply 2x6 bracket.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
SW63, which also includes a universal bracket, the SW60.
Mm-hmm.
And those brackets, they're engineered to come with, they'll be fastened to the column a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
and then also to be anchored to the concrete a certain way.
Correct.
And so I'll let you talk a little bit about that, Scott, and then I'll interject as needed.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, Josh explained that well. And so if you think about when you're going to attach that 6x6, 5x5, whatever, the nail lamp, you're going to fasten that. Now, there's two fasteners, and we'll kind of interweave some tips and tricks here, right? There's two types of fasteners used to bolt that down to the concrete. You have a wedge anchor and you have a screw type anchor. Okay. I'm going to tell you my personal opinion. I would always use the screw type personally. Here's why. Depending on the concrete, because I've done this on my own experience. You put a wedge type anchor down there. Let's say maybe it just doesn't hold or it starts to twist on you. You kind of, pardon the pun, you're kind of screwed, right?
For real.
Yeah, you like that? I am not personally a fan of wedge anchors. I've had too many of them fail on me in the installation process. Now you could say, "Well, Scott, you don't know what you're doing." Maybe I don't. But the screw type anchors just have so much more forgiveness in application, right? You screw them in, you can take them out, put them in epoxy. So there's a lot of different uses for that. So personal opinion, I would highly recommend that when you're using these, that you would use the screw type anchor. It's, I think it's a better way to
It's
both. Yeah,
also part of the engineered system for Sturdi-Wall, isn't it?
it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's also, so to stay in compliance with that engineered system, that's a better way to do it. Um, Now the other part about this, so we're talking about the bolt down, but then you also have the wet set brackets. So
Hmm.
the wet set brackets you're familiar with have, like, four pieces of rebar that come down off the plate. You pour your concrete and you set those in place. So that's the other type, is the wet set bracket. And not to jump too far ahead, but one of the things that we want to really talk about is when you choose to use a wet set bracket, there are some things that you got to know specifically when it comes to corners and framed openings. Josh, you wanna touch on
Yeah.
that? We can kinda
Yeah.
riff
I
back
mean,
and
I
forth?
think with any of the brackets, but especially the wet set, you can imagine if you have an overhead door jamb or an entry door jamb, and you've got a bracket on the jam side of the entry door. You have a bolt that's got in some screw heads that you have to contend with. That's not really good. Um, and I know that one way that I would recommend installation is to inset your or outset your brackets an additional inch and a half on each side. So a 10-foot garage door opening would become a 10-foot 3 garage door opening,
Mhm.
so that after the column's set and you're getting ready to finish out, you can put another treated 2x6 on the inside to cover up that the bolts and the bracket at the bottom. You may have to saw it or sand it or plane it out a little bit to make it sit good and flush. But that's a great application,
Yeah,
or a great way to handle that.
yeah,
Um,
and if I can maybe build a word picture on that, Josh, so imagine that Sturdi-Wall bracket, the metal plate, is about a quarter to 3/8 of an inch thick, and then you've got the bolt that goes in it, so then you've got a bolt head that's about a 1/2 inch. So you're looking at about 3/4 of an inch between the plate and the head of the bolt sticking out past the face of the column. So what Josh is saying is, if you need a 10 by or 10-foot wide framed opening, you're going to frame that opening to basically 9 foot 7 inches. No, I'm sorry, 10
10
foot
foot
3
3,
inches. Yeah,
10
went
foot 3. Yeah.
backwards. You're going to frame it to 10 foot 3. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take, say, a 2x6 on each side, and you're going to have to basically cut about 3/4 of an inch up and in. So then that 2x4 comes down, it's notched in and comes down to cover that bracket. So I
Hmm.
hope just using that kind of helps paint more of that picture. So the two 2x4s on each side give you that 10-foot framed opening.
The other thing you have to really contend with the wet set is making sure that they're in the right spot
Hmm.
and that they are level or plumb.
Hmm.
Because especially, I mean, well, all of them need to be really good and straight, because what happens is if you let your guard down and the concrete isn't set just right and it
Hmm.
moves ever so,
Hmm.
could you imagine now having a door jamb that's now the post you've got to,
Uh-huh.
you know, and wood has some give to it and things of that nature, but these steel brackets don't. And
They
you can
do
get
not.
yourself in a real pickle
Hmm.
if you don't get them set in the right place and
Right.
exactly, you know,
Yeah.
level or plumb. And you can watch videos online. Our buildings has he uses some sort of a wet set bracket
Hmm.
quite a bit, with like a sonotube pour and all that. So,
Right.
and kind of you could see how he levels those out, and some really good information there. But I love the wet set. I mean, in my opinion, if you think about, and I'm no engineer, but geez, if you think about, a couple sticks of rebar going down into the concrete and that forming together,
Hmm.
um, that's just wow. That seems really good.
Yeah.
But the bolt down is a likely easier option,
Mhm. Yeah.
to fasten down to the concrete. And I think if, you can make your own decision or you can let an engineer tell you what to do. We're
Sure.
not here
Sure.
to give that type of advice. We want to let you know what our options are, what your options are.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, you're the builder, and there's certainly applications for a wet set bracket. I think the bolt downs they offer more. Again, the best word I can think of is more forgiveness. Um, they allow you to make more adjustments because you think about it. If a bracket is slightly out, let's say it's out a quarter of an inch, quarter of an inch at the base is not that big of a deal. A quarter of an inch, 20 feet up, that quarter of an inch just became an inch, right? So it just gives you more flexibility. Now I know you could say, well, a wet set's a lot faster. It is. And that would be a benefit. And if you're 100% comfortable and confident in application in setting those up, yeah, a wet set bracket's going to save you some time. But where you've also got to remember is on the corners, right? So where I've got my corners coming together and I've got my perimeter splashboard, I'm still going to have something notched on one side, right? Because my bracket is going to be on the inside of the column on one side, but the outside, I've got to cover that with my skirt board, right? Or my perimeter splashboard. So I've got to still notch. So there's some things to do just to understand how to put those into place. Now on a corner with the bolt down brackets, and I think that's probably where we want to use the rest of our time really driving this home. So I know whenever I got here that some of our contractors were buying two universal brackets. Well, that's all we had, right? So they were doing two universal brackets, which are designed to have a through bolt and then some small girder screws that go in there. Well, they were using those on a corner. And the challenge with doing two universal brackets on a corner is the hole that you drill through to bolt it to the column. If you use this one on this side and this one on this side, those holes are in the same spot. So you got to figure out how to, you know,
Hmm.
drill your hole in such a way to miss the bolts. So there's a corner bracket. So you have the SW63, which is the universal. Let's call it that. Is my number right on that, Josh? The universal SW63?
No, the Universal's SW60
There you
on
go.
that. Yeah.
Alright, so
Hmm.
SW60. So that's gonna be my universal flat bracket.
Hmm.
That's what you're gonna use on the back side of, say, an overhead door opening, you're gonna use that on the back side of the column, right? On a walk door, you're gonna use that on the back side of the column. But on a corner, you're gonna use the SW60 on one side, which is the universal bracket, and on the other side, you're gonna use a corner, which is an SW6C, okay? That one, it still bolts to the slab, but then it's got 4 holes pre-drilled in the bracket, and you use a 4-inch GRK structural screw. That's all you gotta do. And so the way that that's set up is the corner bracket, the SW6C, and those pre-drilled holes are offset from the holes on the SW60 so that you don't have anything hitting. Maintains the structural integrity of the column. So
Hmm. Hmm.
Josh, did that make sense?
Yeah, no, that I think you described it very well. The only question I would ask, and I think I know the answer, but I want to see what you say about it is on that SW6C. And I know we talked about using the structural fastener, but can they also use a girder screw or a different type of lag, or is it
You can.
just okay? That's
Yeah,
what I thought.
you can, and here's the thing, you've said it a couple times, the engineering calls it out. The girder screw that you would probably have been using on those brackets, you can do that, but that's just another fastener to buy.
Hmm.
And we did talk to an engineer, and I did talk to the makers of it, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, you stick a 4-inch, GRK4 in there, you're golden, you're
Hmm.
solid." So, it doesn't change the engineering or the intention of that. It just keeps you from having to if you're using GRKs on on your job site, one of my reasons for even asking the question is like, man, if you don't have to buy one more fastener, it just makes
Hmm.
everything that much easier.
Yeah, and they've got yeah. If you're not purchasing GRKs, just know we stock those, and you
We
should
do.
be purchasing those from us because it's way better deal than you're going to get at Lowe's or Home Depot
Mhm,
or your local lumber yard. We do a good job pricing those out, but and of course ship them with the package. But
mhm,
you should be screwing down your truss carriers and your trusses and everything with those structural screws,
mhm,
and if you have more questions about how you should do that or how many you should use, let us know. We've got some we've talked about our typical engineering in the past. We
mhm.
do have typical engineering for many of the states we do business in. We can go and we can refer right to those and tell you, hey, this is the size of truss carrier you should use, and this is how many fasteners need to go into that connection.
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
would more than happy to share any of that information.
yeah. And go back, we did a podcast, the title of that podcast, I can't remember which episode number, but the title of that podcast was Fasteners: A Screwed Up Conversation. So, go back and listen to that because we really dive deep into the GRK fasteners and why we chose those and all the different various applications. So,
Hmm.
well, Josh, man, we've already blasted past our 25-minute, attempt to commit to our listeners, so we blasted past that, but, man, thank you. I appreciate this conversation. I'm amazed at how quick it went by. But guys, continue to listen up. We're going to give more information about Mark Eastman and email me if you want to be in attendance. And I hope you do. Email me. Say Scott, I plan to be there. January the 16th. It's going to be in Broken Arrow. More information to come. Josh, why don't you take us out?
Hey, as always, it's been a great conversation. I always look forward to this every week. Um, so next week we're gonna have to figure it out. I know you've got some time off, and I'm traveling, but we are gonna figure it out.
Hmm.
And we may even record next week's later this week. So
Absolutely.
anyway, it's been fun. Look forward to the next conversation, Scott. Peace out.
See you guys.